challenging spirit within Honda. It gives us the courage to go faster and the thinking to make it real. Whether it looks like a truck, a sedan, or an SUV, inside is the heart of a race car.
My name is Jason Alder, and I'm the driver of the number 77 Ligier JS F3 car. Being a race car driver is cool and all, but it's really nothing when you're not utilizing it for a good cause, like spreading the word for type 1 and type 2 diabetes. It does a lot for me personally, and does a lot for the FDA.
Some of the symptoms of type 1 diabetes are sudden weight loss, vision changes, frequent urination. So remember to check, don't guess, it may not be the flu, and that education is knowledge, and knowledge is the power to help save lives. Go to dfda.info to check out Rocco's story. Thank you and have a great day.
Welcome to the Formula Regional Americas Championships, round number 13 from beautiful Virginia International Raceway, all part of the Mission Foods weekend here at VIR, the Andy Scriven Memorial for this weekend as we honor the designer of the F4 US chassis and much of the design of this chassis as well. My name's John Fippin. I'll be commentating for you for all of our races here this weekend. And joining me in the booth, the man who is currently second in the points in the F4 US Championship, Bryson Morris. Bryson, welcome.
Hey guys, thank you for having me. It's awesome. I can't wait to start commentating the FR race.
Yeah, looking forward to it. There's your pole sitter and the points leader. That is the number 27 of Raul Hyman. And right next to him, the number 77 of Jason Alder. Those two teammates on the TJ Speed team will start on the front row of this grid. We'll run the full starting grid when they set off on their formation lap. Starting in the third spot is Nick Pershing, another of the TJ Speed drivers in the number 29, as TJ Speed sweeping the top three positions in the qualifying order. Nick comes into this round fifth in the points, just 5 points behind the number 29, Nick Pershing. Ryan Yardley just behind him in the number 78 for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport. This race has been shortened. It will be 25 minutes long rather than the original scheduled time. There's the 78 car of Ryan Yardley we were just talking about for Crosslink Kiwi. He's currently fourth in the points, only 9 markers behind Jason Alder. And as they begin to roll away, there's Dylan Tabella. He's the closest to our championship leader, running second in the points in that number 14 car for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsports, which, by the way, is Bryson's team. As the rest of the field rolls away behind the Honda Civic Type R pace car with James Rogerson at the wheel, let's introduce the 7 starters for you. Starting alone in row 6 will be car number 2, Oliver Westling, out of Emerald Hills, California for Jensen. This is his first start in the FR car. Oliver raced with us for Jensen in the F4 US Championship this past much of this season, but this weekend and next he will be in the Formula Regional Americas car. Looking forward to a full season of competition in FR next year. So Oliver did not turn a time in qualifying, but was given dispensation by Scott Goodyear, our race director, to start this race, and he'll start alone in the 6th row. In row number 5 on the outside, car number 24, Kevin Jansen, the senior member of our field, out of Deerfield Beach, Florida. Kevin races for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsports. He jokes that he's older than the parents of most of our drivers, but it's great to have him in the field with us. Alongside is the Bolivian, the number 10 of Rodrigo Gutierrez for Velocity Racing Development. Rodrigo currently 11th in the points championship. Moving forward to row number 4 on the outside, Cooper Beckland. We heard from Cooper on the F4 broadcast earlier today. He was our expert commentator. He is a college student out of West Linn, Oregon for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsports. Cooper currently 7th in the points coming into this weekend of racing. Next to him in that 4th row in the single car number 3 of Hayden Bowlesby, the single car IGY6 team founded by his father. It is a veteran-owned and veteran staff racing team. Hayden Bowlesby out of Folsom, Louisiana. Moving forward now into row number 3 on the outside. Car number 25, Matt Clark, out of Campbellville, Ontario, Canada, for Future Star Racing. He was unable to be with us at the last race meeting at New Jersey due to a scheduling conflict, but he's back with us. And Matt currently 6th in the points championship. Next to him in that third row is car number 14, Dylan Tavella, out of Massapequa Park, New York, for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsports. Dylan, a 3-time winner already this season with 6 other podium finishes, and he has a perfect record of points finishes, finishing in the points in all 12 races so far this year. Next to him, or should I say outside of row 2, is the 78 of Ryan Yardley out of Christchurch, New Zealand. Ryan, another driver for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsports, currently 4th in the points, only 9 points behind Jason Alder. Ryan will start in the 4th position. Alongside him, we already saw him on camera at on the false grid, the number 29 of Nick Pershing out of Morgan Hill, California, the San Francisco area. Nick for TJ Speed Motorsports. He is currently 5th in the point standings, just 5 behind Ryan Yardley. And now for the front row. On the outside, car number 77, Jason Alder for TJ Speed Motorsports. He is 3rd in the points. He has a win already this year at Road America and 3 other podium finishes, as well as 10 points-paying finishes throughout the season. And your pole sitter and the points leader, the number 27, Raul Hyman. He's South African and making his home currently in London for TJ Speed Motorsports. 7 wins, 5 podiums, and a perfect points record. He has not finished off the podium yet this season. And we have a rolling start here, and Raul Hyman gets the jump right away. He wasted no time getting his right foot down, but single file behind him is the 77 of
we
Jason
see Hyman
Alder.
get turned around.
Yeah, Hyman gets
teammate.
bumped in the back by his teammate.
He almost high-sided.
Yeah, Nick Pershing that got into the back of him. Thanks, Bryson. I was just checking my notes here as our points leader gets spun around, and I believe that's going to promote Jason Alder up to the point. We'll check it as they work their way through the left hook and into the Mission Foods, or the Optima S's, which are known as the Snake here at Virginia International Raceway, doing their best to straight line this, and then they come to every driver's favorite part of this racetrack, the climbing S's. High speed. I don't know if these guys are flat, pretty much flat through this section of racetrack. Switching back left, right, and into the very daunting South Bend, turn number 10, just coming out of that right now as they set up for the Franklin Road turn 11. And it is indeed Jason Alder at the point. And slotting in right behind him is Matt Clark as they come off the Oak Tree Bend and down the 4,000 feet long straightaway. We'll get a replay of that incident at turn number 1 on the start. You can see Raul Hyman there in the front. And then diving down to the inside is Nick Pershing trying to make a pass. He gets all locked up. And as they turn in, those two make light contact. Hyman goes around. Pershing gets swamped by several cars. Hyman able to get the car re-rolling though, but he's got the pace to get back toward the front if need be. As we look at now our new leader, and that is Matt Clark in the number 25 for Future Star Racing, as he has taken over the lead from Jason Alder in the 77 car. As they make their way down this front straightaway, Alder diving in right behind him. There's Nick Pershing, and then the man who is 2nd in the points, Dylan Tavella, right behind Nick. Just behind them, the 78 of Ryan Yardley, as we have kind of a 4-car breakaway here at the front after just a single racing lap. Again, this race shortened because we're running just a little bit behind schedule here, and it will be a timed race of 25 minutes duration. We're down to about 17 minutes and a half remaining. You can see the countdown clock in the upper left-hand corner. Matt Clark putting his stamp on this one early. Bit of a surprise for me, Bryson. Mac had to miss the round at New Jersey, but he is very much on the pace here.
Yeah, he's a very quick driver, but to be up to 1st from, looks like 6th position on the grid, he's already pulled out a really good gap. So really looking good for Matt Clark right now around VIR. He's got this track figured out.
Yeah, exactly right. Mac, a winner already this year. He won the very first race at New Orleans, Louisiana.
We see a mistake from Dylan Tavella, actually.
Yeah, Dylan goes off at Oak Tree and works his way back forward. He's going to drop back to 5th position, so that will cost him a spot. As Matt Clark with a big lead, working his way down the roller coaster, a 130-foot drop from the braking zone there for turn 14 as they snake their way down the hill and then into the hog pen turn. this weekend. We're calling it the Big Machine Vodka Spiked Coolers hog pen. As the 29 and Nick Pershing in your camera shot, chasing his teammate, Jason Alder. But Matt Clark stretching his lead out in front. Getting a good look at the 78 of Ryan Yardley, currently running in the 4th spot.
Looks like Raul Hyman is already starting to make up those positions that he's lost. I think he's gained already 4 after that turn 1 incident on the first lap.
We understand the 2-car of Oliver Wessling had an off at turn 14. That's right at the tip-in point for the roller coaster, but he has been able to rejoin. Oliver, remember, starting on the last row. As you can see, Dylan Tavella losing some ground after that off on the last lap. And just behind him, a great battle between the 3 of Hayden Bowlesby. Right behind him is one of the Jay Howard cars. As we watch that battle, 27, that is the leader, should we say, or the points leader, Raul Hyman, just behind Hayden Bowlesby, as they're working their way forward. Down the long 4,000 long back straightaway, as we're working our way up toward the roller coaster. Dylan Tavella leading that train of cars as they descend down the hill through turn 16, 17. Big Machine Vodka Spiked Coolers hog pen turn, so named for the hog pen that used to be just outside that track. Hayden Bowlesby doing a great job holding off Raul Hyman. That's the battle for 6th spot. Hyman now being shown in 7th behind Dylan Tavella, so another issue for Hyman, as he has fallen back behind Tavella. Tavella doing exactly what he needs to close the points gap. It's 51 points coming into this round. It seems like a secure gap, as Matt Clark has had a problem. He's slowing there at the exit of NASCAR. He must have dropped a wheel off, and that's going to turn the lead over to Jason Alder. So Matt Clark with a mistake here, uncharacteristically. He is back in the order now, just behind Dylan Tavella is the 25 car of our erstwhile leader, Matt Clark. So he dropped a wheel off at the exit of the NASCAR bend, turn number 3, and fell all the way back into 5th position. So Jason Alder would be the new leader, as we watch Raul Hyman making a move on Hayden Bowlesby at turn 11, the Franklin Road turn 11, and then into Oak Tree Bend, and then onto the long back straightaway. So Hyman picking up another spot. That'll move him up to 6th. As he is working his way down the long back straightaway. So Matt Clark with an error there at turn number 3, falling down the order. Jason Alder taking over the lead. That looks like Clark now right on the back of Dylan Tavella, trying to retake that position that he lost. Indeed, that is the battle you're seeing. Tavella in the 14, Clark right behind him. As the new leader, Jason Alder comes across the line. Nick Pershing in 2nd, so Ryan Yardley now up into 3rd in a podium spot. Matt Clark, who had set the fast lap of the race just prior to his off, in the 5th spot. Raul Hyman, the points leader, back to 6th. Hayden Bowlesby currently in the 7th position. Rodrigo Gutierrez, Cooper Becklin, Kevin Jansen, and Oliver Wessling round out the field as we are working race lap number 5 with about 12 and a half minutes remaining. The battle we're watching is the one between Dylan Tavella and Matt Clark. Dylan in the car with the red highlights, Matt Clark in the white and red car. As you can see, the 29 just in front of them of Nick Pershing, the 2nd place runner, leaving your camera frame.
Seems like Dylan Tavella is starting to make that gap a bit bigger between him and Matt Clark. And then we also see Hyman trying to close in. All he's trying to do is focus on staying clean and getting all the points he can. He's got a very good gap in the championship. He just has to finish races, and it should come to him.
Yeah, exactly right. He's got a 51-point lead coming into this race. If it finishes the way it is, Dylan Tavella will take some out of that 51-point gap. But with 150 points still on offer this season, there's lots of racing left to come. In fact, coming into this round, we still have 5 drivers still mathematically in the hunt for the championship. As you can see, Dylan Tavella stretching that advantage just a bit, and closing very quickly is the points leader, Raul Hyman, to make this a 3-way battle as we're entering the final 11 minutes of this race. Dylan obviously will be anxious to keep Hyman behind him so he can close that points gap. The more the merrier. Meanwhile, the TJ Speed teammates Jason Alder and Nick Pershing out in front, about a 2-second advantage. As on this last lap, Raul Hyman sets the fast lap of the race as he has recovered from his off in that first lap. As we got a car in the grass here, that's at the hog pen turn. Looks like that's the 10 car of Rodrigo Gutierrez, who has gone off, but he was able to get back on track at the Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers hog pen turn, the final turn on the racetrack. So Raul Hyman, the fastest car on the track, he's close to within a second of Matt Clark, who in turn is just about half a second behind Dylan Tavella, as we follow that battle coming out of the snake under the bridge, and they make the run up the hill in the climbing S's. There is your points leader and the pole sitter for this race, Raul Hyman, who got such a great jump at the start. It looked like he was going to be able to ride off into the sunset, as he is wont to do. He has been a dominant force in this championship, as we mentioned, 7 wins, 5 podiums. He has not finished off the podium yet this season. Perhaps the commentator's curse, Bryson, is it looks like this may be his first race of the year where he won't get to the podium. He might get it done, but he's only got 10 minutes, and he's got to pass 3 guys to get that to happen.
Yes, it'll be very tough for him to get back to the podium, as there is a nearly 5-second gap up to the podium, so he has to pass these cars and then chop out that chunk of 5 seconds. I don't know if it's going to be possible for him.
Meanwhile, Jason Alder looking for his 2nd win on the season. He took a win in round 5 at Road America, and he is out in front of his teammate Nick Pershing now. We'll check the interval as they cross the line to complete race lap number 6. Just over 2 seconds for Jason Alder. Jason, a driver out of Maryland, who came to open wheel racing kind of on a lark, I think. Last season, he started his career in the F4 US Championship. He had been running pavement ovals and came to open wheel racing and won his very first race out at Road Atlanta a year ago. And then last year at the end of the season at Circuit of the Americas, he had an opportunity to jump into the FR car for the final 3 races, and he won his first FR race as well. So Jason Alder, the only driver to have done that in the history of our 2 championships.
Yeah, he's a very impressive driver. I raced against him last season for a few races, and he's very quick. He never puts a tire wrong. He's really fast, and it will not surprise me if he keeps pulling out this gap.
But the battle now is between Raul Hyman and Matt Clark for 5th position, as Matt Clark having to drive with his mirrors just a bit, and that's allowed Dylan Tavella to get away up in front. As they crossed the line last time, it was about 3/4 of a second, the interval between Tavella and Clark, but Clark has got his mirrors full of our points leader, Raul Hyman. This is probably the best passing opportunity on the racetrack as they make their way down this long straightaway. If Hyman can tuck into the draft and pop out at the last minute, it's an opportunity to make the pass, but he's just not quite as fast in a straight line, it appears. He can close up under braking, but not quite close enough to pull the trigger. Alder and Pershing out in front. Ryan Yardley solidly in 3rd. Dylan Tavella in 4th. As our points leader, Raul Hyman. We'll see if he sets another fast lap. Again, these cars a little more difficult than the F4 cars to follow closely, as it is the case with any open wheel car. The more downforce the car generates, the more it disturbs the air of the car following. And so Raul is having to fight the fact that he's going to have a lot of push in that car.
Yeah, very difficult to follow close in these cars. It's very impressive on how close he actually is staying. And then another thing to note is that Jason Alder has pulled out another 0.6 of a second in that last lap.
Getting a replay of the off of the number 10 of Gutierrez, as he just dropped a wheel off to the outside at the exit of the Oak Tree turn. And That is a pretty common spin. You can see by the skid marks on the asphalt. He's not the first one to do that. As Raul Hyman is not quite as close to Matt Clark this time by, as with only 6.5 minutes remaining. He may have realized that this is as far forward as he may be able to get. Or he may be just letting a little gap build up so he can get a run on him coming down this straightaway. This is an all-important turn, that Oak Tree turn, turn 12, because it leads on to this long, long straightaway. Matt Clark, aware that he's there and is doing a little bit of weaving to try to break that draft that Hyman is trying to capitalize on. You can just see Dylan Tavella there in the red highlights, just now entering turn 14. And then this great battle behind. Now on the last lap, Hyman was able to get alongside Matt Clark in the run down to turn 1. And once again, he's going to get a good exit here at Hog Pen. And we'll see if he can play that one more time. As he ducks to the inside, Matt Clark giving him racing room, but not quite close enough this time, I don't think. He's not as close as he was a lap ago.
Oh, he takes half of a look. Not quite close enough. Oh, but he's still right beside him.
He's still there. Clark giving him racing room. Clark will have the inside line to NASCAR, but it looks like he's got it done here.
Very nice move.
Very nice. Late on the brakes, got the pass made.
This group is also catching up on Ryan Yardley. Looks like nearly half a second a lap, so can't count them out yet for podium positions.
Yeah, Yardley just set his personal best, a 46.3. But Dylan Tavella, a 45.7. Matt Clark, a 45.9. As we get a replay of that overtaking maneuver down into turn number 1. And just about equivalent speed for those two. Matt Clark not guarding that inside line, which is certainly his privilege, but just later on the brakes is Raul Hyman. And that's all it took to be able to make that pass stick. As Matt Clark not quite getting the apex speed, having been forced wide. So a well-measured pass by our points leader, taking him up into 5th spot. But it looks like Matt Clark is coming back at him here as we come down into the roller coaster. Clark challenging at the end of the back straightaway and is right on the gearbox of Raul Hyman. So Matt Clark doing just what you need to do, Bryson. If you get past, your best recourse is to attack right back.
Yes, that's true, but unfortunately, going through that last corner, he caused some of that dirty air, and it looks like he's not going to be quite close enough to make the pass into turn 1.
Well, we'll see. He's almost in the same position that Raul Hyman was a lap ago, but I don't think he's quite close enough to try that out-braking maneuver down into the Mission Foods turn number 1, known as the horseshoe here to the locals. This NASCAR bend, the left-hander, so named because it sort of emulates a long sweeping left-hander on a NASCAR oval. The left hook, turn number 4, and then immediately to the right through the lower S's, or the snake. We're calling the Optima S's here this weekend. You can see the Optima battery sign. You're right, Ryan Yardley needs to keep an eye on his mirrors because his teammate Dylan Tavella is coming quickly. Tavella has closed to within 1.5 seconds at the end of the last lap. And right behind Tavella is Raul Hyman with only 3 minutes remaining in this one. A little bit of dust kicked up. Somebody dropped the wheel off there at the South Bend. And Hyman is right on the back of Dylan Tavella. He is flying. And Dylan needs to keep in behind him if he's got any chance of closing the championship gap. If Hyman can get around Dylan, he'll extend his championship lead. Coming into the next round here, we'll contest rounds 13, 14, and 15 here at VIR this weekend. As they come up to the roller coaster. Down the hill they come. There's Dylan Tavella. Ryan Yardley just in front of him going out of your picture. As Tavella navigates the hog pen turn. That's caught a lot of drivers out here this weekend. It's easy to drop a couple wheels off at the exit, and that means you're going for a long ride in the grass. Hyman sets fast lap of the race in his chase of Tavella, with 2 minutes now remaining in this one. Meanwhile, Ryan Yardley hanging on to the final podium spot. Sorry, Bryson, go ahead.
We see Ryan Yardley catching up 1/2 second on Nick Parsing there also in the last lap, so could make a good battle for second place with this top 5 going for it.
Yeah, exactly right. Jason Alder still your leader by almost 4 seconds, so he's reasonably comfortable in that lead. Nick Pershing, though, on that last lap, a 46.7, and Ryan Yardley half a second quicker, as Bryson just noted, at a 46.2. So closing down, there's that battle there in the foreground. The 29 is Pershing, the 78 is Yardley. Pershing for the TJ Speed team, which is leading the team points coming into this round, and Yardley, of course, Bryson's teammate on the Crosslink Kiwi Motorsports squad. As they work their way into the Franklin Road turn 11. Nick Pershing with second, Ryan Yardley with the final podium spot. Coming into the final minute here, in all likelihood, we'll see the white flag this time by. However, just behind them, Dylan Tavella has got Raul Hyman right on his gearbox. So Hyman trying to get around Tavella and extend his championship lead. If he can't finish on the podium, at least he could extend his lead if he could get around Dylan. Meanwhile, up in front, Jason Alder coming to the white flag. As he has not put a wheel wrong, just as you said, Bryson, that's really been his trademark. He doesn't make mistakes, and that's all it takes to finish at the front most times. These cars are so evenly matched in qualifying. You know, the top 5 separated by less than a second. But Jason Alder has kept his nose clean and leads the parade on the final lap over his teammate Nick Pershing, who's coming under increasing pressure from Ryan Yardley, Dylan Tavella. That 3-car battle just now coming out from behind the trees. That's Pershing at the front of that train. Excuse me, that's the leader, forgive me, and then Pershing in second. Then right behind him is Dylan Tavella with Raul Hyman just behind him. Matt Clark back in 6th after his mistake as they work their way through the lower S's, the Optima S's for the final time. There's Pershing, followed by the 78 of Yardley. And Tavella with the red highlights and the blue highlights of our points leader, Raul Hyman. Dylan Tavella exiting South Bend as they head toward Franklin Road turn 11 for the final time. Raul Hyman approaching perhaps his final opportunity to put Dylan Tavella behind him and extend his points lead. Dylan Tavella doing everything he can to keep him back there so that he can narrow that points lead. As we're on the final lap, the run to the checkered flag. Not much doubt about the leader, Jason Alder, well out in front, barring a mistake. He's got this one in the bag. Down the hill they come for the final time. Tavella trying to make a move on Nick Pershing. Right behind him, Raul Hyman trying to make a move on Tavella. These 3, nose to tail, coming to the flag. As they work their way by our commentary position here. Nose to tail, here goes Tavella pulling out as he makes the run to the stripe. I don't think he got there. We'll check the timing and scoring. No, he was in 4th spot. What a close battle that was, as Ryan Yardley holding off Dylan Tavella at the line. 53 hundredths of a second, the interval. Raul Hyman comes home in 5th. Matt Clark has to settle for 6th position. Cooper Becklin in 7th. Hayden Bowlesby in 8th. Oliver Westling finishing 9th. Kevin Jansen, as we understand, we are working the last lap now. We thought that was the checkers. I stand corrected, as we're on the last lap at this point.
Hyman's very close to Tavella there. He might be looking for a move up in the S's.
Indeed. In fact, as he comes through the lower S's, weaving back and forth, trying to make a move. Side-by-side action through the climbing S's is hard to do, and it looks like he's going to be content to stay single file, but if he gets a good run off South Bend, he might be able to make a move coming into turn 11. Here's the battle. This is the one with the most points ramifications.
You see Hyman dropping a tire there on the exit. It's going to mess up with this run down to turn 13 here.
Yeah, that's going to hurt his exit speed for sure, and he'll pay the price at the end of the straightaway. Alder, Pershing, and Ryan Yardley still your top 3. This battle between Tavella, Hyman, and Matt Clark coming back into the battle at the tail end of this as they work their way down the roller coaster for the final time. There's Matt Clark recovering after taking the lead of this motor race. And that's the white flag we're being shown. So apparently this race went longer than we were originally expecting. So we've got one more lap to go. This is now the final lap. My apologies for the confusion, as we were relying on the timer to determine, as Raul Hyman goes to the inside of Dylan Tavella looking for that 4th position. Now he's going to try to go inside at NASCAR, but stays back in single file. Now
gets a really good run.
Good passing opportunity into the left hook here, but he doesn't quite have enough pace to take it. Tavella making that car as wide as he needs to keep him behind. And as they are battling, that's allowing Matt Clark to come back into the frame. So there's Nick Pershing at the front, followed by Ryan Yardley, then Dylan Tavella. Right behind him with the blue highlights is Raul Hyman. Meanwhile, your leader, Jason Alder, on the final lap. A nice 4-wheel drift through Franklin Road, turn 11. Smoothly out onto the edge of the track as he begins his run down the back straightaway. We believe now for the final time, because I actually saw the white flag. I think that's good. You can see the lead that Jason Alder has built up. It was almost 5 seconds. And Raul Hyman's into the tires. Hyman is into the tires. That has to be at Oak Tree, I would think, as he may have tried to make a move on Dylan Tavella, and it all went pear-shaped, as Jason Alder is coming to the checkered flag all by himself to take his 2nd win on the season. Jason Alder taking the win in round 13. 2nd place should be Nick Pershing as he comes across the stripe to complete that lap. Ryan Yardley hangs on for the final podium spot. Dylan Tavella across the line in 4th. Matt Clark will take 5th place honors after leading this race early. Raul Hyman falling down the order. Cooper Becklin will finish 6th. And Hyman will finish at the back of the pack as Hayden Polsby, Oliver Westling, Rodrigo Gutierrez, and Kevin Jansen will all get buy-in. Jonathan Green has joined us here in the commentary booth. He'll take over as we head down to the podium to interview our winner. Thanks, Jonathan.
No problem, my friend, and that is bad news for the Englishman Raul Hyman, because he's had a season that has been sensational. A rare mistake at the old Oak Tree, and he's not tying any ribbons around it, that's for sure. But that does affect the championship because it keeps it very much alive. There's a couple more races to come from this weekend and then the final round in COTA. So we started the day with a 51-point gap at the front, while Hyman almost cruising really, and it looked that way, but then he got punted off at the first corner, and he was trying to recover ever since, and got up as far as 5th place, and then it all went to naught, unfortunately for him. But a good race all the same for the likes of Persing and Tavella, and obviously Jason Alder in 77, and he is one man that can challenge for that overall title. So it's going to make an interesting run in now to the championship here in 2022, and a lot up for grabs from Honda, a chance to make some big money. Bryson, what is your thoughts going into that? Because it's a rare mistake from Raul Hyman, right?
Yes, it very much is. I mean, he's been on the podium for every single race so far, and I think he's just maybe pushed a little too hard, and he didn't really need to. He's got that good gap going, and it's just a rare mistake to see from him.
What about going back to the start? He really didn't have a lot to do with it. He got kind of taken out, really, didn't he?
Yeah, that was mostly out of his control. His teammate looked like he got a bit too deep on the brakes, walked up a little bit, and then he was a passenger from there. But really great drive back up to 5th place up until that last stop. It was very impressive.
The good news is he's got it all to do again. How about yourself? You've got a couple more races to come. How do you feel?
I do. I feel good about it. I feel like I've got the pace. This next race I'll be starting in 5th after getting 2nd in race 1. So anything can happen from there. So we'll just try to get as many points as I can.
What do you do from 5th? Because it's a double-edged sword. If you really want to go for it, you want to go early, or do you take your time and see how it plays out?
Well, in my situation, the person leading the championship is a bit further down the field. Okay. So I think it would be better to play it safe, as I'm nearly, I think, 5 points back now. So I'll just try to play it safe, get as many points as I can, and see where it goes.
All right, you've been listening to Bryson Morris. He'll be up in action in the F4 Championship as we conclude our coverage of the FR Championship. And there is the 77 of T Sport and Jason Alder coming into the Parc Ferme, and John Fippin will be down there in a moment to talk to our top three. And as you can see, congratulations all round. Jason, a great character. You'll hear from him in a moment. But you've got to keep a clean whistle, as it were, and it's exactly what he did. And a real shame for Raoul Hyman, who we just heard there, has not made any big mistakes throughout the season. But it opens it up nicely. If you're a fan of FR racing, then you get a good run into the championship. And don't forget, we'll see Bryson Morris in action later in the day and over the weekend. But just confirmation, the Drive for Diabetes Awareness. Hakoon Jason Alder wins, and Nick Persson is second place. Ryan Yardley is third, Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport. And Dylan Tavella, also with Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport, gets fourth position. Really important points for Tavella. Mackenzie Clark, Matt Clark as they call him, in fifth position. Cooper Beckland sixth, and sadly all the way down and out of the points was our man Raoul Hyman. But that's how it finished out in our first of the Formula Regional Americas for the weekend. Let's head down to John Fippin, who's now with our top three.
We've got Jason Alder, our winner here. Jason, a well-judged race. You didn't put a wheel wrong, and you were there to pick up the pieces after people in front of you made mistakes.
Yeah, I must have been a little sneaky with it, but I did tip a wheel off on the exit of turn 10, which was definitely a little bit of a wake-up call for me. A little scary, but yeah, you know, other than that, it was a good, clean race. I knew that these conditions would be difficult with the track being so cool. So, yeah, overall, super happy. Our tire strategy is looking great for the rest of the weekend. We didn't put a new tire on, so we're looking good for race 2 and race 3 later.
Two-time winner on the season, Jonathan.
So congratulations to Jason Alder, well done to him and to the TJ Speed team, and yeah, happiness all round for that team, and a relatively new team to the series in the last couple of seasons, but they're now starting to make their way. Take a look at the highlights then. It started off with a brilliant start from Raoul Hyman, but, well, he kind of got a little pushed out of proceedings there at the Horseshoe. He managed to gather it all together and keep going again. But there was all sorts of drama as well. Off goes the 14, and out front, Persing pushing hard, as well as Tavella. Jason Alder picking up the lead. And bit by bit, Raoul Hyman in the 27 would make his way through. Got the most trouble from this man in the future racing car. But then another spinner at the bottom of the S's. And the race continued, but no help was coming for Raoul Hyman as he parked it at the Oak Tree. But a win for Jason Alder, and a good one too. That keeps the championship alive, and there's plenty more racing to come from this championship.
Everything in our garage is inspired by our racing spirit. Race in for a great deal on the Honda CR-V. Only at the Honda Dream Garage Spring Event.
My name is Jason Alder, and I'm the driver of the number 77 Ligier JS F3 car. Being a race car driver is cool and all, but it's really nothing when you're not utilizing it for a good cause, like spreading the word for type 1 and type 2 diabetes. It does a lot for me personally, and does a lot for the FDA.
Some of the symptoms of type 1 diabetes are sudden weight loss, vision changes, frequent urination. So remember to check, don't guess, it may not be the flu, and that education is knowledge, and knowledge is the power to help save lives. Go to dfda.info to check out Rocco's story. Thank you and have a great day.
I saw you talking to some of the drivers. Any glean anything in from, or are you just gassing? Just gassing.
Yeah, just stuff that all. So, give us some support today. Austin Green might come up. Austin Green might come up at some point. Austin Green he raced for Showtime at Watkins Glen.
Okay.
He's Davey Green's son, NASCAR driver Davey Green.
Oh, okay.